Hello everyone and welcome back to the Friday Property Clinic. Today we're going to be talking about real estate decision-making tools. So we have Mr. Logan Nyasulu talking to Natasha today. He's from Diaspora Support Initiative and they've come up with a fantastic course that better equips people to make more informed decisions when making your property investments. So I'm going to hand you over to Natasha and Logan.
Hello, Logan.
Hi, Natasha.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Very well, thanks. Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Thanks
very
for joining us.
Here.
I know that you're very busy.
Trying to be.
So, you're offering a course on real estate making tools. Why is this an important topic?
Yeah. Real estate decision-making tools is a crucial topic. I think that all of us are involved in real estate decisions. Almost every person is involved in real estate decisions. So at this point, I think it's a crucial course that I think will help all of us to make sure that we're making the right real estate decisions.
Yeah. Now, when I was reading about the course, I found it so interesting. But I did notice that it was mentioned that it was targeting real estate professionals and investment advisors. So I wanted to find out, is this course on real estate decision-making tools, is it of value to individuals?
That's a good question, Natasha. In fact, let me just mention that everything is really about individuals, because when you think about real estate professionals, they are always doing their work on behalf of individuals. They are hired by individuals. So it's really about individuals. And if an individual on their own I feel that they need to attend this course, I think it can only be of value to them because it puts them in a very good position when it comes to making real estate decisions. And these professionals, like ourselves, are almost always representing these individuals that we call clients. So every person, including an individual themselves, would benefit from this course.
Okay. Now, obviously, tools are only as good as the information that you're able to feed into them. So how is one able to really use these tools in our environment where information is so difficult to come by, particularly in the real estate sector?
Yeah, great question, Natasha. And you're right. We've had a big challenge when it comes to information. And that is why DSI, Diaspora Support Initiative, we've focused on information and collecting and analyzing and presenting data as a key component of our work. In fact, I'm happy to mention to you that for the last 3 years or so, we've been putting together information going as far back as 20 years to date, just for us to be in a position to see what the trends have been, to see where we are, and using this information to be in a better position to see where we are going.
Right.
Yeah. So it is true that there isn't a lot of information, but that's why we're focusing on this area. And to some extent, that's what this course is there to try and demonstrate, that in fact, we may have been making decisions without a lot of information. We need to change that because it's a costly approach. And if we don't change it, then we'll keep having the kind of problems that we've had.
Yeah. And why do you think people in the diaspora would want to be interested in a course like this?
Yeah, I think that probably they more than anybody else ought to be very interested in a course like this because most of them have used other people to undertake projects for them. Often they rely on other people. Never mind whether the information that they have been given is correct or not, but they rely on other people. And therefore, a course like this that not only gives them information, but also tools that they can use to make decisions, puts them in a very good position, both to be able to assess whether what they are being told is correct, to give them a sense of confidence about whatever information they're receiving, but also it helps them to hold the professionals or individuals that are doing work for them to be held accountable. And they will be in a better position to do that because they themselves will have access to these tools as well as to the information.
You know what's so interesting is having traveled to various cities where the diaspora are present, is the amount of misinformation they often have.
Exactly.
And it's unfortunate because I feel like they miss out on opportunities because they don't have this performance of the last 20 years, which shows them the rapid appreciation and value of property and, you know, all the returns that they could have made. Has that been your observation as well?
Actually, a very right observation. It's an accurate observation. One of the biggest areas that you find that the people in the diaspora are subjected to is just either wrong information or the lack of information. Even on basic things. Like one of the things I've noticed that they're always being told is that there's some land that the government has made available. And the funds are there. You know? So it's a basic thing, but it's representative of the many other areas where information is not available. Another example, most of them don't know that there's a huge opportunity in the low-cost market now. Okay, they would be thinking more of the high cost and other areas that they saw perhaps before they left to go into the diaspora. So there's a lot of information that they need, and just having access to this information and the tools to use to analyze this information, they're in a very good position to make better decisions and to avoid some of the mistakes and risks that they've been subjected to.
You know, just talking about the way our property sector, in all shapes and forms, has been performing, because you have this historical information to look at. Where do you think we are in the cycle? You know, people say in the property markets, there's boom, there's bust. So where do you see us in the cycle right now? Okay,
we are very near a bust, coming out of, kind of, and very, very likely going towards the boom. It's not happening now. There are a lot of changes that have been happening systemically and in just the structure, the policy. We're coming out of a couple of elections back to back. There's been a serious liquidity challenge which has affected the number of transactions that are happening. There's been monetary policy changes by the central bank that have affected reserve ratios and so on. All these things are, in a sense, preparing us for a better future in real estate. We're not yet there, but I think we're at a place where we need to reposition ourselves. I think everybody who's got interest in real estate needs to be repositioning themselves. And what better way to do it than to use correct information and to have the correct tools as well in doing that.
So what do you see as the real value of this course then?
Well, I think it puts you in a very strong position as an individual or as an entity. It gives you access to credible information so that you're certain. Certainty is very important. It also gives you tools that you can use to analyze this information. It helps you to be in a position to hold others accountable properly because you are standing on a position of knowledge and information yourself. So I think it gives you a very good position from which you can have a competitive advantage as you engage in real estate investment or development.
Sounds fantastic. Now, what happens for those who aren't able to attend or people who are in the diaspora, but obviously they can't fly down for the course? I mean, it sounds like an amazing course. So if they miss it, is that it? There's no chance of getting that information.
But of course, it would have been great if they attended the course. One of the things about real estate, timing is of the essence.
That's right.
So it's great to have this kind of information about tools, about information, at this stage, because then it helps you. Don't forget we are at the end of the year as you're making resolutions for 2018 about your portfolio. It's a great course to attend because then you're in a good position to make decisions. However, we will run similar courses in the future because we know that real estate and decisions about real estate is an ongoing thing. So we'll definitely run courses in the future as well.
And do you have any plans to perhaps have some kind of online offering for people in the diaspora who want to take advantage of these tools?
In fact, we're really seriously thinking about that. In fact, the very fact that we're having this discussion is an indication of where we'd like to go with this. So there are definitely going to be online courses. We know that in the technology age in which we live, we obviously have to take advantage and make these courses available online, even to people who may not necessarily be with us physically.
Exactly. So I just want to end with, with the fact that you've been dealing with the diaspora now for a long time. And I always say, when I tell people what Diaspora Connect does, they always say, "Oh, you do what Logan does." And actually, we do very different things. Yes, we were just chatting about that before we started the discussion.
Yeah.
But from your experience, your extensive experience, what do you see as the biggest mistakes that people in the diaspora make when investing in property back home?
Yeah. Well, let me just mention a few. First of all, some of them try to do it directly themselves. Nothing wrong with that, but there's a question of distance and just managing projects. Most projects require literally micromanaging. A lot of detail needs to be considered, a lot of work and time. So some of them have tried to do it on their own directly. They've flown back and they found a disaster.
Right.
That's one. Another one is using the wrong people. Maybe let me say people who are not qualified. You'll be talking about relatives and friends.
Yes.
Most of these people actually want to help. They mean well, but as you know, they get busy with other responsibilities, or sometimes situations and challenges arise that are more than what they know, and this also results in disasters.
Yes. In fact, sorry to cut you off, but I always say that as Zambians, we're very cultured, and we're taught not to really share what happens in our homes.
Yeah.
So when you're sending a relative money, you don't know what financial crisis they may be going through within their own home.
Exactly.
Just when they're receiving your money to go and buy your plot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a very important point. Sometimes they receive your $10,000 and something has happened very urgent in the home. Maybe it's even medical.
Yes.
Even you would feel a bit bad to insist because it had to do with health. So I think that it's crucial to use professionals because you then hold them accountable at a professional level, and they have to perform based on those professional terms. And also, professionals can also be held accountable by their professional bodies.
Yes,
which sort of is the fallback for you. So all those areas, I think, with our experience, we've noticed sometimes people in the diaspora don't quite use that, and it affects them negatively.
Now, I just want to take you back to something that you mentioned, which is you need to be able to read where the market is going. From your reading, you said we're probably at the lower end of a tough time, and we should see an upward trajectory in the next few years. But where do you see that market going when it starts moving upward? What do you see as the hot areas? Yeah, in
fact, the interesting thing about our market is that it has undergone some very significant changes, structural changes. So, for instance, I mentioned the low-cost market.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a market that people haven't given so much attention before. A lot of focus was on the medium and even the high cost. But the low cost is becoming very, very significant, and we need to think about that very seriously. Then there is education-linked accommodation. That's also an area. I think a lot of people have noticed how many universities and education institutions we are getting. A lot of them require accommodation linked to that. Purpose-built. That's an area that really needs to be looked at. Industrial properties. We've been in a place where consumption has been bigger than production, but a lot of policy shifts are happening in that direction. So it's a place to think about, industrial properties and aspects like that. Then, of course, agricultural properties. A lot of people are listening to the government's emphasis on agriculture and the change in focus and diversification of the economy. That has implications for agricultural properties. But, of course, the agricultural direction that we are taking has a lot of emphasis on technology. So it's not so much the size of the plot, but the efficiency of the plot. So location of the plot will be crucial, and other things like that. So those are some of the areas that we think we need to think about as we're investing or planning to invest in real estate.
I think what's so important about, or so interesting about what you're saying is that really to get a very good understanding of the real estate sector. It actually starts at the macro level, doesn't it?
Exactly, and that's brilliant to understand that the real estate market is not an island. It's not divorced from the rest of the economy. What's happening in the economy, the policy pronouncements, and even what's happening in the region has an impact on what's happening to the markets and which segments of the market are likely to be active. It has impacted the traditional investments, real estate investment. So one needs to have information on all of those things, and then the tools that we're talking about, if I can just mention some of them. We're talking about discounted cash flow techniques, where you're using internal rate of return, net present values, sensitivity analysis to just make decisions about what to do with the property, what to do with the set of properties. We are talking about SWOT analysis. Sometimes people don't realize that you have to look at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats of your property. And then there's a portfolio theory to look at what is the contribution of one asset to a group of properties.
That's right.
It's negative now, but should we get rid of it? Or is it bringing value in another way that is actually strengthening the property? We're talking about signages. So all these tools and others must be brought in, including structuring. How do you structure the project? How do you combine the different stakeholders to make sure that you achieve optimization? So all these tools we are going to look at and others, just so that we are in a great position to make good real estate decisions.
That's great. Well, I'm so pleased that I've received an invitation. You're welcome. And Logan will be following up with you. We think this is such a critical topic. So we will be following up. We're going to invite you back here again.
Very happy to come back.
Yes, and to give a review. Yes, to get a review. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a real pleasure.
So thank you, Logan and Natasha. I really enjoyed that discussion. What I personally took away from it is that there's a lot of people in the diaspora who are being misled due to lack of information, and also because they've been away for so long, so they don't know what's happening and they don't have the access to information. So I think that's why Logan encourages that people in the diaspora use professionals just like us at Diaspora Connect, because we can be held accountable as opposed to using friends and family. So we're going to be keeping in touch with Logan because he's got lots of exciting projects. He's going to make the course available online in the new year for people in the diaspora, so you guys can access the course online. And he's got an exciting new book coming out called Ethics for Estate Agents, which is going to be launched in December. Keep in touch with us at www.buyingpropertyinzambia.com. Thanks.